Here's a question that divides the Swallowed Star fans. Could Luo Feng, fresh out of Ice Prison as a world master, actually stand against King Zhenyan, one of humanity's legendary Invincible Immortal Kings? The answer might shock you because the gap between them isn't nearly as wide as you'd expect. In fact, by the time Luo Feng left Ice Prison, he had already become something truly terrifying. Welcome to my Donghua animation. In the brutal cosmos of Swallowed Star, two warriors represent completely different eras of human strength. King Zhenyan, the explosive-tempered ape man who spent hundreds of millions of years clawing his way to Invincible Immortal King status, represents the absolute peak of what traditional cultivation can achieve without exceptional fortune. Luo Feng, humanity's greatest genius, represents the new generation. Warriors who shatter every conventional rule and rewrite what's possible. Don't forget to subscribe to help me push this channel to 1K subscribers. It means a lot. Thanks. All right, let's dive into what makes these two absolute monsters so different and so dangerous. Let's start with King Zhenyan, because this guy's resume is absolutely insane. Born hundreds of millions of years before Luo Feng even existed, Xenyan spent eons marching forward on the path of the strong. He's a tall, sturdy ape man from the Kahunsi clan with golden fur and golden armor and eyes that can literally see through space itself. This isn't hyperbole. His mastery of the law of space and law of earth through the beast god path gave him spatial perception that most warriors can only dream of. As an invincible immortal king, Xenyan reached a level where he could escape from and even fight ordinary universe venerables, beings an entire major realm above him. That's like a high school athlete competing against Olympic champions and actually surviving. His life gene level of 10 times combined with reaching the 4th level of the Way of the Beast God made him nearly unbeatable among immortal kings. Here's what separates Xenyan from average invincible immortal kings. He possessed 3 pinnacle techniques. Following the warrior path, he understood the critical importance of defending against soul attacks and illusions, so his most powerful pinnacle technique was specifically a soul defense technique. This shows tactical wisdom earned through countless battles. His strength at the Immortal King level was such that he could find no challenge in the extraterritorial battlefield. He was simply too strong for anyone at his level. His explosive temper and brutal means of dealing with opposition earned him countless enemies across the universe. The Virtual Universe Company had no choice but to send him to Primal Chaos City, giving him no official authority or status. Unlike King Skyfeather, another invincible immortal king with palaces and underlings, Xenyan focused on contributing to the human race. Through training disciples, before Luo Feng he had 92 disciples with only King Bloodthirsty reaching Immortal King level, though multiple others achieved pinnacle Immortal Marquis status. At this specific point in time, before going to the Beast God Inheritance Land, Xenyan was stuck at the final step to becoming a universe venerable. Despite his incredible power, despite his hundreds of millions of years of experience, he couldn't break through that final barrier. He needed the Beast God Inheritance Order that Luo Feng would eventually bring him from the Wuhua secret region to finally make that breakthrough during thousands of years of seclusion. His treasures included escape-type boots, later revealed to be a top-heavy treasure when he became a universe venerable, and various other equipment befitting his status. Even with just 100 drops of Fei-Mo poison, it would take that much to kill him, and he'd detect the first couple of drops and prevent the rest from touching his divine body, making the poison essentially useless. Now let's talk about Luo Feng after leaving Ice Prison, and here's where things get absolutely wild. Ice Prison, also known as Ice Hell, is a vast, freezing domain filled with crushing cold energy and spatial suppression that prevents teleportation. To escape, prisoners must collect 10,000 identification tags from other prisoners, forcing constant battles and large-scale slaughter. This brutal prison realm was monitored by Venerable Green Dukuo and Venerable Purple Dukuo, and housed numerous deadly creatures ranging from limit immortals to beings even stronger. Luo Feng entered Ice Prison as a world master, a cultivation level 2 entire major realms below Immortal King. Yet he turned this death trap into his personal training ground. He spent those years developing new techniques, battling the prison's elite, and systematically rising through the rankings. By the time he left Ice Prison, Luo Feng had achieved what observers called invincible power to become a king, essentially possessing Invincible Immortal King level combat ability while still at World Master level. Let that sink in. He was fighting two major realms above his actual cultivation base. His battles in Ice Prison became legendary. He fought Ben Lei Wang, the Thunderbolt King, one of the prison's top 10 monarchs whose mastery of lightning laws was devastating. Using his newly created Myriad Star Sermon technique, Luo Feng systematically dismantled the Thunderbolt King's signature attacks. When Ben Lei Wang burned his divine body for a massive power surge, everyone expected Luo Feng to counter-burn. He didn't, because as a world master, he didn't have divine body to burn yet. Instead, using the incredible speed of his Shuwu wings, he simply fled at a pace the Burning King couldn't match. This baffled the entire prison. How could someone who couldn't burn divine body compete at this level? Then came the clash with Yinmo, Silver Eyes, one of the 5 supreme giants ranking second in the entire prison. This battle showed Luo Feng's true ceiling. Yinmo suppressed him with relentless force, even using the law of time to trap him in powerful illusions. Luo Feng survived through his moonlight strategy combined with Myriad Stars Sermon, demonstrating willpower and technique that defied his cultivation level. At this point, Luo Feng's true power came from multiple sources. His golden-horned beast clone gave him a life gene level 10 times that of normal humans. His comprehension of the law of gold had reached extremely high levels. His secret engraving path allowed him to create techniques surpassing his actual law comprehension. His willpower, forged through the most desperate life and death struggles, had become something extraordinary. Most importantly, Luo Feng was still growing at a terrifying pace. His foundation at World Master level was monumentally stronger than what most Universe Venerables had possessed at that stage. When he would eventually break through to Immortal, his massive divine body, powered by his enhanced life gene level, would make him exponentially more dangerous than warriors who broke through with normal foundations. Here's what separates these two warriors at their core. King Zhenyan represents the ultimate refinement of traditional cultivation, hundreds of millions of years of battle experience, perfect technique execution, 3 pinnacle techniques, tactical wisdom earned through eons of warfare and power so complete that only the barrier to Universe Venerable stood in his way. But Luo Feng? He represents something the universe had rarely seen, a genius whose growth rate defied all conventional understanding. In just years, he achieved combat power that took others eons to reach. His willpower exceeded warriors hundreds of millions of years older. His technique creation ability allowed him to develop Universe Overlord level techniques as a world master. Consider the concrete comparisons. Zhenyan had reached the 4th level of beast god comprehension through hundreds of millions of years of cultivation. Luo Feng was already approaching similar comprehension levels in a fraction of that time. Zhenyan possessed 3 pinnacle techniques refined over countless eras. Luo Feng was creating new pinnacle-level techniques on the fly in the middle of death battles. The most important difference? Zhenyan was at his ceiling, stuck at that final barrier to Universe Venerable. Luo Feng was nowhere near his ceiling. He was still at World Master level with at least 2 major realm breakthroughs ahead of him, each of which would multiply his power exponentially. So what happens if they actually fought at these specific points? This is where it gets fascinating. King Zhenyan would bring the overwhelming power of an invincible immortal king. His divine body would be 100,000 times that of a peak world master, multiplied by his life gene level of 10. His 3 pinnacle techniques would create attacks that could shatter space itself. His soul defense would block most spirit attacks. His hundreds of millions of years of battle experience would let him read every move, predict every strategy. His mastery of the beast god path, space and earth fusion, would give him incredible battlefield control. His escape-type treasure would make him incredibly difficult to pin down. His explosive fighting style, honed through countless wars, would put tremendous pressure on any opponent. But Luo Feng would bring something equally terrifying, combat ability that defied his cultivation level. His secret engraving path techniques would unleash power beyond what his world master cultivation should allow. His myriad stars sermon, created specifically in Ice Prison's brutal environment, could contend with pinnacle immortal kings. His Shuwu wings made him one of the fastest beings in Ice Prison. His willpower could resist attacks from beings far stronger. Most critically, Luo Feng had already proven he could survive against opponents with divine bodies while having none himself. He'd developed tactics specifically for fighting beings who could burn divine power for explosive strength boosts. Tactics centered on speed, technique superiority, and outlasting their burns. The honest assessment? At these exact points in time, King Zhenyan would likely win, but it wouldn't be easy. Luo Feng's combat ability was already approaching Invincible Immortal King level, but Zhenyan's actual divine body, centuries of refined technique, and 3 pinnacle techniques would give him the edge. However, Luo Feng could absolutely survive the encounter and potentially even force Zhenyan to use significant effort, something almost unthinkable for a world master facing an invincible immortal king. The real kicker? The moment Luo Feng broke through to immortal, the entire dynamic would shift. His enhanced life gene level, combined with his already ridiculous combat ability, would likely place him above Zhenyan immediately upon breakthrough. This is why Zhenyan took Luo Feng as a disciple. He recognized that this monster would surpass him within years, not eons. King Zhenyan represents the pinnacle of what endless effort and talent can achieve through traditional paths. Hundreds of millions of years of cultivation, countless battles, perfect refinement of technique, and absolute mastery of his chosen path. He did everything right, achieved everything possible, and stood at the absolute peak of his realm. Luo Feng represents the new era, geniuses who don't just walk the path, but rewrite it entirely. Warriors who achieve in years what should take eras. Cultivation that breaks every established rule. Growth that refuses to acknowledge any ceiling. In many ways, Zhenyan took Luo Feng as his disciple not just to pass on his knowledge, but because he understood what Luo Feng represented the future of the human race. The old generation making way for the new, while ensuring that the new generation doesn't have to learn every lesson the hard way. So that's the comprehensive breakdown of these 2 legendary warriors at these specific points in their journeys. Zhenyan was at the absolute peak of traditional Invincible Immortal King power, stuck at the final barrier. Luo Feng was a world master with Invincible Immortal King combat ability, still growing at a pace that defied comprehension. Here's what I'm curious about though. If you were King Zhenyan and saw Luo Feng's progression, would you take him as a disciple knowing he'd surpass you in years? Or would pride get in the way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.